George, part of the science and the way the FDA is working now, or at least the goals of Dr. Hamburg, is I think encapsulated by transparency. Big move both in industries that you regulate as well as the FDA itself. A new task force on transparency was announced. Tell us a bit about what the goals are of the Transparency Task Force, and what steps are the FDA taking?
I can't talk about that. I'm only kidding. Dr. Hamburg, in her New England Journal of Medicine piece, actually described the FDA the way many folks have described it. It's this black box. Something goes in and you don't know where it goes, and something comes out and you don't know where it came from. Dr. Hamburg and Dr. Sharfstein, frankly everybody at the Food and Drug Administration, is committed to having a much more open process. Now that's going to mean different things to different people and in different ways. We aren't going to all of a sudden give out information that is proprietary. Of course we wouldn't do that. And we're not going to make statements about things that aren't ready to be communicated, because that would hurt the public health. But when there is a public health concern, we will err, to the extent that we make mistakes, and we all do. We will err on the side of communicating information that the public needs, so that they can then make the right decisions about their own health.
George, there's been some criticism about the implementation of risk evaluation mitigation strategies that the FDA has, and the resulting delay in approval of a variety of pharmaceutical products, which goal, of course, is to improve patients' lives. Tell us, if you can, what are the FDA's plans to accelerate the allocation of the appropriate resources that are necessary to streamline or improve the REM process?
Well, for me to begin to talk about REMS is way above or below. I'm not certain which my pay grade. But not to get too much into the weeds, what I can tell everyone, and it's also quite public, that the Obama administration has a lot of faith in this organization, and they have put their money where their mouths are. And we have a very large increase in our budget for 2009 and through 2010, and a lot of it is in the places where things are, where processes maybe have not gone as quickly or as smoothly as they might have in the past. And so this whole idea of how can we really speed up the process, do the regulations around REMS speed it, slow it, what really happens here? All I can assure people watching this is that we are making new allocations to these kinds of issues, and it's not just throwing money at it, but it's actually throwing expertise at it that costs money, so that industry and the scientists here can come to a place where things do move more smoothly.
George, shifting gears for a moment to food safety, certainly one of the big charges of the FDA, and we've had some big food challenges in the previous years. Tell us what's happening with the FDA and how we can improve food safety in the U.S., and what are some issues that we should be looking out for?
I think the improvement of the food safety system is a primary challenge here. Dr. Hamburg has said it is among her top priorities. The president, during his first few weeks in office, was concerned about the safety of the peanut butter in his daughter's sandwiches. We heard that. We felt sort of bad that he would sort of lash out, but he was absolutely right. The public has lost a lot of respect and confidence in the FDA because of the food safety issues. Now, if one puts the recent salmonella and E. coli, all these things in context, it doesn't seem to be that much of a problem. If there are about 79 million cases of food poisoning a year, it sounds like a lot, and it is, especially if you're one of the 79 million. But if you do the math, if there are 300 million people in the country, and they eat 3 meals a day, that's 900 million meals a day times 365. So it's a very, very small percentage of people who actually get sick. But you know, if you got sick from salmonella poisoning, you want to know, well, how come? Why aren't you protecting me? Well, Congress has a new bill that is working its way through that gives us the kind of authority that a lot of folks, including us, think that we need to have mandatory recall authority and these kinds of things, where we can go into a situation and take things off the shelves without having to go through some long process. Also, money for new inspectors. We need to improve our inspection force, both as far as their quality and their quantity. We have food at this agency has not always been assigned in places that make the most efficient sense. Mm-hmm. So there is a new principal deputy for food safety who reports directly to the commissioner, and that's never happened before. And it's Mike Taylor, who is well known within the field, and even before he came here, he was a constructive critic of the agency. And so we're happy to have him, and I think that it speaks volumes to the commissioner's commitment to improving the food safety system in this country.
George, final question. There's been criticism in the past, both internal and external, about morale at the FDA in years past. How have things changed, and how you see things turning the corner?
I think that things will change when people see exactly what we do, how we do it, and gain some confidence in it. In her confirmation hearings, Dr. Hamburg told the senators that was also one of her top priorities, to change the way the world views the Food and Drug Administration. And that means that sometimes we have to be tougher. Sometimes we have to take another look at some of the things that have gone on before. It means a sort of a top-to-bottom evaluation of how we do things. Are we being as transparent as we need to be, so that people get a feeling of being part of the decision-making and not having some group of bureaucrats on the Hill somewhere outside of Washington ruling their lives, whether they be someone around a kitchen table, or someone around a laboratory, or someone around a boardroom in a pharmaceutical company. So it's really about doing our job better. And if we do our job better, and if we're more transparent about it, and we let folks know about it, and let them be part of the discussion, I think that the morale internally will change, because the folks outside of the agency that live by our regulations so often will be much more happy about the fact that we're doing that.
George, thanks so much. We hope to check back in with you and see how things really are going. Sure. Thanks for joining us today. With me was George Strait, the Assistant Commissioner for Public Affairs at the Food and Drug Administration. I'm Jeff Sandman at Hyde Park Communications. Please join us in the coming months, where we'll talk more about developments in healthcare and healthcare reform. Thank you and goodbye.